I'm a fifth generation. My family came here from New York and down in through Missouri and then to Colorado. I went to Colorado Springs High School where I participated in sports, wrestling and football and track. I graduated and I didn't know just exactly what I was going to do. This brings in the El Pomar, the executive director, Mr. Folker. Mr. Folker asked me, well, what do you plan to do? I said, I don't know. He said, would you like to go to college? I said, I've never thought of it. He said, how would you like to interview with Mrs. Spencer Penrose? She wants to provide some scholarships. She was willing to take a risk with my going to the University of Northern Colorado, where she paid the tuition and fees, my board room, and books and supplies. It was a very, very generous scholarship, one that I've been deeply appreciative of. The wrestling coach at Greeley, he offered me a scholarship if I went to Greeley, so I had the El Pomar and a wrestling scholarship. I wrestled 2 years, and then I changed over to gymnastics. After I graduated in 1954, I graduated after 3 years and stayed on for my master's degree. Pat then, who had been working at Wells County General Hospital, we put her in college. I got a job in Brighton, Colorado, teaching at the end of the year because I graduated in March. I taught driver's education and history. At the end of that year, the superintendent offered me a job of teaching in the elementary school. That was the most challenging year in all of my education, my teaching. Well, I then finished my career there and moved up to LaSalle, Colorado. Following that, Pat graduated and she came down to LaSalle and she taught there for 3 years in the business department. Well, we came over to Grand Junction and we were on our way out to California to see and visit Pat's grandmother. And on the way out of town, I said to my wife, I want to stop by the junior college and see if they have a opening for guidance counselor. Well, when I went in on the campus, there was only one male. That was Lowell Heine. And he was the director of admissions and records. He said, well, all of the male faculty members are up on the mesa fishing. That's the annual event for the men. And there's nobody here to say whether they have a need or want to hire somebody or not. He said, it was discussed. And I said, well, I will call later. And I called over and Mr. Wubin, Horace Wubin, said, well, could you come over for an interview? I came over for an interview and he said, I'll hire you and I'll hire you for $4,100 a year. So we came over and I started my job in the fall of 1962. During that fall, Bus Bergman, the baseball coach, and he said, I need an assistant baseball coach, and I see where you were assistant baseball coach on 2 state championship teams. Would you like to be my assistant? So I was Bus Bergman's assistant baseball coach for 5 years. Along the way, some of the businessmen in the community asked me if I would run for state representative. So all during my legislative career, I would come home on the weekends and spend my full weekends down at the college keeping up with the activities that was taking place there and meeting with students and faculty members as needed. And I did that for the remainder of my career at Mesa, which was 31 years. And at the state legislature, I had 4 years in the House of Representatives and 24 years in the state Senate. Every Every Friday, I would get all of the Western Slope legislators together, Democrats and Republicans, in my office. And we would go around and ask, what bills are important to you? And if they weren't really controversial, then we would get behind them and support them, because most of us were in the majority party. Minority parties get very, very little. And so we were able to get legislation passed that ordinary Democrats wouldn't get passed. I remember a Denver legislator saying, how come Western Colorado gets all these things? Well, they didn't know that we were holding our caucus and we were working collectively together, which we should be doing anyhow. Neither party has all of the answers. Sometimes even both of them together, when they're cooperating, don't have the answers. The legislature was a great experience. Following that, there was an opening in the county commission's office. So I ran for county commissioner and was elected. And I served there 4 years, and there was an opening in the University of Colorado Board of Regents, and I was elected, and that was a 6-year term. I served a year as a trustee on the El Pomar Foundation. Very fortunate for me, Bill Hibble, who is the chief executive officer, asked me if I wanted to be a member of the Awards for Excellence Committee. They've got things going that are so much different than most foundations. Just makes you proud to be a part of it. I'm very grateful for all the things that they have done for not only me, but for this area and for Pat. They are true believers in higher education and helping young people. Pat stayed here and taught at Central High School. She taught 27 years there and 3 years at LaSalle, so she was a teacher for 30 years. The students loved her. I don't know what I would have done without Pat. She is the angel on my shoulder. She's had some great experiences out there. She's a great woman. She has made her contributions to this community. 24 years elected time and time again. I think the people were pleased with my performance because I was a representative of the people. I was not there to represent myself. I was their conduit to a governmental process, and I never forgot that. I could work both sides of the aisle. While I was a registered Republican, I wasn't married to the party. I was married to Pat. I would, if it was a good piece of legislation, I would support it, regardless of who introduced it, if it meant something to my constituents. I am so humbled that the people had confidence in what I would do.